Welcome to Local Matters. Today, we begin in 1920. That's right, 100 years ago, this month, equal voting rights for women in the United States were ratified in the 19th Amendment. Tiffany tells us more in this episode of In the Know.
Did you know that it's only been 100 years since women gained the right to vote? Yep, it's true. 2020 marks the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment, stating the right to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. The roots of the suffrage movement go back to the 1820s, when many reform movements were established around issues including religious freedom, anti-slavery, and suffrage, and women played a prominent role. In 1840, abolitionists Lucretia Mott and Elizabeth Cady Stanton wanted to attend the World Anti-Slavery Convention in London, but were barred. Why? Because they were women. Angry and determined, Elizabeth and Lucretia organized the first women's right convention in Seneca Falls, New York. There, they drafted the Declaration of Sentiments. If that sounds sweet, it isn't. The Declaration of Sentiments listed the many injustices women suffered and called upon them to organize and fight for their rights as equal citizens. Which was a strong start, but then the Civil War hit in 1861. The suffrage movement lost its momentum as women abolitionists focused their attention on the fight to end slavery. Susan B. Anthony is well known as a suffragette, but did you know that she personally led many slaves to freedom in the North? She and Elizabeth Cady Stanton gathered signatures urging the government to pass the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery for good. In 1865, the 13th Amendment was passed, ending legal slavery, and there was unity and peace throughout the land. Well, except for Jim Crow laws, the poll tax, redlining, and other forms of systematic racism. But that's for another episode. Progress was on a roll, though, and the 14th Amendment followed next, affirming that freed slaves were now American citizens. Fantastic, right? Next was the 15th Amendment, and this is where it gets hairy. This was the first time gender had been mentioned in the Constitution, and women noticed it didn't mention them. The suffrage movement was reborn. Under the leadership of Susan B. Anthony, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, and other pioneers, suffragists distributed petitions and lobbied Congress to pass legislation allowing all women the fundamental right to vote. But obviously no one paid attention to them because who wants to listen to a bunch of ladies complaining about their rights? But that only served to spur the suffragists on. At the turn of the century, women's suffrage became a mass movement, splitting into two groups. The National American Women's Suffrage Movement, which was more of a moderate group led by Carrie Chapman Catt, and the National Women's Party led by Alice Paul, using more radical tactics, which you'll hear about more later. By 1910, both groups were estimated to have numbers in the millions. These women were not messing around. In 1912, 40,000 women dressed in white marched in the New York City suffrage parade demanding recognition of their equality. Now, they had the world's attention. By 1917, women were gathering outside the White House every day, withstanding all kinds of weather, and with anti-suffrage people yelling at them. They held signs with slogans like, "Mr. President, how long must women wait for liberty?" Many were arrested and jailed, and some, like Alice Paul, continued their protestation behind bars with hunger strikes. Remember, they were doing this all in dresses, so these ladies were pretty tough. Some states in the West began to extend the vote to women. Eastern and Southern states were like, no. As World War I progressed, American women joined the effort by stabilizing the home front, filling in for men who had to leave their jobs to go to war. For suffragettes, it didn't seem fair. Their contributions were equal to men, but their rights weren't. Suffragists argued, how can the United States claim to be a free nation when half of its citizens aren't treated as equals? Universal suffrage should be the only position of a civilized nation. Unrelenting organization, protests, and lobbying finally held sway, and on August 18th of 1920, the 19th Amendment to the Constitution was ratified. Yay! And on November 2nd of that year, more than 8 million women across the United States voted in elections for the very first time. Your vote is your voice. When you use it this November, take a moment to honor the women who refused to take no for an answer. They were rebels, they were agitators, they were fighters, and they changed the world. Women's suffrage, now you're in the know.
Tiff, that was awesome. So many women who we owe so much. Have you registered to vote yet? This year, it's easier than ever.
Are you a registered voter in Massachusetts? A new law signed by Governor Charlie Baker in July allows all registered voters to vote by mail in any 2020 election. No excuse needed. Of course, you'll still be able to vote in person at your precinct, as you always have, but now you have two other options: vote by mail or vote early in person. The Secretary of State's office has sent each registered voter a vote-by-mail ballot application for the September 1st primary and the November 3rd national election. Check your mail now. If you'd like to vote in the state primary and are unenrolled in a party, be sure to select the party's ballot that you would like to receive. No request can be processed without a signature, so make sure you sign it. Send your vote-by-mail application back as soon as possible, but no later than August 26th. The applications are pre-addressed and no postage is necessary. You are strongly encouraged to return your ballot by mail as soon as you receive and complete it, or drop your ballot into the new ballot collections box outside of Plymouth Town Hall. This is near the handicap parking lot at the back of the building. Another option is early in-person voting, which will be available at Plymouth Town Hall during the listed dates and times. All precautions will be taken to keep the voting population safe. If you aren't registered to vote yet, you still have time. You have until August 22nd to register for the September 1st election and until October 24th to register for the national election taking place on November 3rd. It's easy. Just Google "register to vote in Massachusetts" or visit the state website. This PSA was produced as a public service by Plymouth Area Community Television for the Plymouth Area League of Women Voters in conjunction with the Town of Plymouth. The League has championed voter access for 100 years.
While most of us are using our time during this pandemic to support and help each other, unfortunately, scammers are busy too. They're using COVID-19 to target seniors with new ways to try to steal your money and your identity. But you don't have to fall victim. On August 11th at 10 a.m., the Duxbury Senior Center is offering the virtual Senior Safety Series, COVID Scams, presented by Robin Putnam of the Office of Consumer Affairs and Business Regulations via Zoom. To register, go to duxburyseniorcenter.org and click on Register for a Program. Learn to protect yourself. Adjusting to a changing new normal is what we're all doing, and also the title of an interactive virtual meeting offered by the Kingston Public Library on August 10th at 6 p.m. Career coach Gary Gecka will be presenting and applying his 30 years of experience to address a series of topics, including, but not limited to, working from home, remaining positive and productive amidst disruptions, taking advantage of free online tools, and building relationships through collaborations. This free program is for teens and adults. Visit the library's website to register. Are you a renter or landlord unsure about your rights and protections? On August 12th at 11 a.m., the Boston Public Library is hosting an online presentation and discussion about renters' rights during this public health crisis. A Harvard Law School housing attorney will discuss Massachusetts housing laws to help both landlords and tenants navigate through uncertain times. Hear what landlords can and can't do during the pandemic, what the outlook might be for renters when the eviction moratorium ends, and what resources are available to assist you in maintaining your housing or defending an eviction suit. To register for the Zoom link, visit the Boston Public Library Facebook page or website. It's time for some craft foodery, and this time Max demystifies chicken cutlets.
What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be making homemade chicken tenders, which is a better option than going to some fast food restaurant. On top of that, we're going to be making a sriracha dip, so stick around and let's get started.
Step 1. Cut and season the chicken. Step 2. Prepare the bread bath. Now I'd like to stop the video right here and direct your attention to my amazing pepper grinding skills. Aren't they the best you've ever seen? Probably way better than your pepper grinding skills will ever be. Anyways, resume the video. Step 3. Bread the chicken. Now it's important that your hands don't look like this when you're going through the breading process. Instead, what you want to do is use wet hand, dry hand. What this means is to use one hand for flour and breadcrumbs and the other hand for the egg bath. Step 4. Cook the chicken. Step 5. Prepare the sriracha dip. Step 6 is to eat. What else would you do? Now, I like my tenders extra crisp, so I cook them longer. But if you want them to be golden, pull them earlier. The cooking times vary from 3.5 to 5 minutes.
And that's how you make homemade chicken tenders. And this can be a healthier option than eating out all the time. Not that there's anything wrong with eating out, but when you have the opportunity to cook at home, give it a shot for yourself.
Thanks, Max. Your skills are indeed better than mine ever will be. Music is always good medicine, but right now, the ability of the music makers to earn a living has been dramatically affected by the pandemic. To help, the Spire Center for Performing Arts is excited to announce InSPIRElla, its first benefit concert for musicians by musicians. This virtual event is happening on Saturday, August 15th at 8 p.m. and will be hosted by award-winning singer, songwriter, and saxophonist Grace Kelly, with special appearances by Red Molly, Quinn Sullivan, and more. Watch InSPIRElla live right here on PAC TV, as well as the Spire Center's YouTube and Facebook pages. To find out more about the event, sponsorships, and how to donate, visit the Spire Center's website. Teens, aged 13 to 18, the zombie outbreak we've all feared has happened, and you are our only hope. Register for the Pembroke Public Library's Zombie Digital Escape Room event on August 13th at 3 o'clock, when you'll work with other teens to find the antidote, stop the outbreak, and save us all. Registration is required for this Zoom event. Visit the library's website to sign up. Judy Macciosi is known on the South Shore as the unusual scientist and is bringing her expertise to a virtual program all about butterflies. Learn about some of the common ones in our area and how your garden can become a welcoming haven for these beautiful winged creatures. Visit the Duxbury Senior Center's website to register for this August 10th program that begins at 1 p.m. A few weeks ago, we brought you a performance from South Shore Conservatory's rock band program, and SSC is back with another one of their killer bands, Yard Sale. Here they are with their version of the Beatles song, I Saw Her Standing There.
Three, four.
She was just 17, and you know what I mean. And the way she was way beyond compare. So how could I dance with another? Ooh, since I saw her standing
Thank you to South Shore Conservatory and Yard Sale. That was awesome. And thank you for watching this episode of Local Matters, which is a production of the local scene of PAC TV. Visit our website at pactv.org/local scene for a complete list of resources mentioned in this show. Follow us on Instagram and like us on Facebook to keep updated on the ways that we shine a light on you. From all of us at PAC TV, be safe. We'll see you next week.